Lenny Vangilder, Ken Trahan with SportsNola.com as we preview the regional round of the LHSAA football playoffs. And Ken, started with 160 a week ago. We've cut that in half. Some upsets last week, most notably, we'll start in 5A with the 32 beating the 1, which is kind of set the stage and opened up that top half of the bracket in 5A.
Well, it really has, and it's unprecedented at 5A that's ever happened. It happened once in a lower classification when West St. Mary took out number 1 seed E.D. White, but real shock, very sorry for St. Paul's. Kenny Sears' team had a great year, but a great win for Doug Dotson and Central.
Central will host Ruston this week among the 8 regional matchups in 5A. Best matchup on the card as you see it in 5A?
Well, there's a couple of games that I think are very good. I think Karen Crow and Washita Parish is a very good game. The games at Karen Crow might give them a slight edge as a result. And, of course, the Jesuit matchup at East St. John I think is a good matchup. Darian Monroe is an elite player at quarterback, a playmaker with his feet and with his arm, the kind of guy athletically that might give Jesuit some trouble on the perimeter, but that Jesuit offense is like fine wine. They just get better each and every week, and nobody stopped them this year. So that looks to me like it's going to be a good matchup.
We mentioned the upsets on the top half of the bracket, also the 29 Ponchatoula going to Dutchtown and getting a win. That has really opened the door for West Monroe.
Well, it really has on the top half. The bottom half is much more difficult when you look at things. When you've got Acadiana and Karen Crow and Jesuit and Bird, who's really good, all stacked up in the bottom half. And on the top half, the only real power per se you have is West Monroe, whose toughest out might be Barb, a 13 seed. Then certainly Don Shows has to be pretty happy right now.
That could be a quarterfinal matchup come next Friday. As we jump ahead to 4A, there were their share of upsets there, but the number 1 seed, Neville, the number 2 seed, St. Thomas More, each advanced without a problem. What do you think about this week?
Well, I think that the game to watch, there's a couple of games, but one that certainly locally we will watch is a rematch between McDonough 35 and St. Augustine. I covered the first matchup. McDonough 35 won 50-42. Neither team could stop each other. Things have changed. St. Augustine's improved, and McDonough 35 lost their best player, Carlos Henderson, for the year, and he is such a difference maker. I think it tilts the other way now, but I'll never sell Wayne Reese's team short. Certainly, I think you have to look at one other matchup. Perry Walker playing at Turlings Catholic. They play in 2 very, very difficult districts. Look at the number of teams in their leagues that are still alive right now. That's a great matchup. The fact that Turlings is playing at home might give them a very slight edge.
As we jump ahead to Class 3A, you got on the bottom of the bracket the teams that they're 2-15 in the seeds, but they were 1-2 in the state polls the entire year. St. Charles Catholic and Patterson, clearly the marquee matchup, maybe of the whole card on Friday night, if not 3A alone.
Yeah, just terrible shame that these 2 teams are playing each other in the regional round. They were the 2 best teams in the class all season long. The reason that Patterson got a 15 seed is strength of schedule. Their opponents just compiled a terrible record overall. St. Charles hardly better, but obviously better to get the number 2 seed. Farmerville's the 1 seed, and St. Charles has beaten them the last 2 years. In the 2A playoffs, they both move up to 3A. Farmerville's very good, but St. Charles and Patterson will be a great matchup. The other marquee game, another game that's being played in the second round that usually is played in the Dome, is Parkview Baptist, the defending state champion, against perennial state finalist and previous state champion Notre Dame. Kenny Guillot and Louis Cook, great coaching matchup. Really good teams. Notre Dame's at home. They're young. Parkview Baptist, I give a slight edge to in that game.
Of local interest here in the metro area, McMain pulled an upset in the first round. They will be home to Livonia here in round 2. As we jump ahead to 2A, John Curtis, the 1 seed, has to travel as there was a mild upset in the 16-17 game, so they have to travel to Ville Platte. What's your opinion of what things shape up like in 2A?
Well, John Curtis, ho-hum. They'll move on. I think Newman is a sleeper against Kinder. Newman did not have the kind of year they're accustomed to having, but they got a pretty good draw, at least for the first 2 rounds. I think they can beat Kinder, even though Kinder is a 9 seed. Newman's at home at Lupin Field, and they played well on the road last week to upset Holy Savior Menard, which we predicted here last week. And, of course, as you look at the bottom half of the bracket, I think a game that's really good is Riverside at University High. University has all the LSU coaches' sons. Riverside's extremely well coached with Mickey Roussel. That's one to watch.
And as we go lastly to 1A, seems like we mentioned last week, the seeds have a tendency to hold more here. Washita Christian, the 1 seed, rolled. Vermilion Catholic, the 2 seed, rolled last week. Your thoughts in the 1A regional round?
Well, to see St. Martin's win a playoff game for the first time in 20 years was heartwarming. Frank Cazzo's done a great job with the senior-laden team. Tough assignment against a team in block that's bigger and probably faster, but they're playing at Tony Porter Field, so I do not sell the Saints short in that game. The other matchup that clearly is one of the better games games, if not the best, is St. John and West St. John, district rivals battling for the second time this year at Edgard. Again, first time around, the Rams won 36-20 in a game that was closer than the score. It's tough to beat a team twice in the same season.
Absolutely, and there will be a couple other rematches, as we mentioned, in which should be an exciting regional round. And you can watch it all, follow it all right here at sportsnola.com with the best scoreboard in the state. And, of course, listen to Ken and his original Prep Football Report, which will originate live from Joe Yenny Stadium Friday night with coverage of the Acadiana Rummel game in the 5A regional round. Stay with us throughout Friday and the weekend. More coverage of the high school playoffs right here at sportsnola.com.